Boris Johnson has been sent a huge warning over the prospect of the UK being smashed with a double whammy hit if Britain leaves the European Union without a trade deal and the Prime Minister breaking his take-back control promise to Tory voters. British and EU negotiators were locked in talks on Friday in a desperate attempt to make a significant breakthrough in the long-running and often bitter trade deal negotiations. The EU's chief Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier did not return to Brussels as planned on Friday morning, instead deciding to remain in London for talks. A key briefing he was scheduled to hold with EU diplomats to update them on the progress of trade talks with the UK was also cancelled. But time is running out to get an agreement over the line before the transition period deadline on December 31. Significant issues, predominantly around fisheries, state aid and the EU's level playing field, are still proving to be huge hurdles to overcome. Over the past year, Mr. Johnson has continued to insist the UK will take back control once it fully cuts ties with the EU and begins life outside the bloc on January 1, 2021. But Naomi Smith, chief executive of Best for Britain, the campaign group launched to stop Brexit and continue the UK's membership of the EU, has warned of the devastating impact a no-deal Brexit could have on the UK. She told Express, the UK will be condemned to rising prices, falling GDP, and a Brexit COVID double whammy much more brutal than it need be. For the UK, the consequences of leaving the EU without a deal would be huge. The economic cost of new tariffs and trading arrangements, brought in during a pandemic, would clearly see many businesses go under. The OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, recently said no deal would cause a serious, short-term hit and leave long-term scarring on trade, productivity and jobs. Given the government's focus on creating jobs in the past month, and its levelling up program more broadly, a no-deal Brexit would fatally undermine the Gov's domestic agenda. On top of that, it would undermine the notion of global Britain if we end up in an argument with our nearest neighbours and pass controversial, law-breaking, legislation such as some of the clauses contained in the Internal Market Bill. Ms. Smith claimed those who voted for the Conservative Party in last year's general election are now more unsure over Mr. Johnson's pledge the UK would take back control after Brexit and said the government must quickly focus on how it can successfully deliver on that promise.